YouTube, Phil here again. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Animator's Survival Kit by Richard Williams, who's the director of animation on Who's Framed Roger Rabbit. He's been working in animation for over 40 years, and basically what Richard Williams has done has taken that 40 years of knowledge and compressed it into this absolutely huge book here. Basically, I came across this book many years ago, and I renewed it from my local library basically far more often than what I should have. So eventually I decided to obviously purchase my own, and it was definitely an investment worth doing. One of the things I really like about this is it's more image-based rather than text-based. A lot of the text, as you can see, is actually written out in a note form. It makes you kind of feel like you're not being preached at about animation, and it's full of absolutely useful tips and techniques, the right way to do things, the wrong way to do things. Before I go on too long, I'm going to lay this book down and I'm just going to flick through a couple of pages that I find personally interesting, and I think you might as well. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've skipped past all the introductory stuff and brought you to the first animation part of the book, which is all about spacing and timing. And of course we're starting off with the bouncing ball, which teaches you all kinds of ground lessons in animation. For example, how far things bounce depending on what they're made of, whether they stretch, whether they compress, all that kind of stuff. And obviously the lessons just continue here. So I brought you to the walking cycle stage of the book. This obviously just covers lots and lots of different walking styles, lots of different body shapes, which is really great because most of these books, when they cover the walking cycle, just seem to cover the very basic classic form, and they don't really go into much about other body types. As you can see, there's lots of extra bits like how the head shouldn't move when someone's walking, how it should move. This is a fairly long section of the book, as basically walking cycles, I think, are one of the most, after the bouncing ball of course, one of the fundamental things you learn when you're first starting out. Okay, so we've moved past the walking section now, and we're now moving on to a section which seems to cover basically other parts of the body, like how a character will go from one standing position to another, and how the whole body moves. Also things like arm movement. It covers arm movement here in quite a lot of detail, which is always very helpful. I mean, as a side note, this book, whenever I've kind of struggled to think how something would move or how it would look, I can always just flick to this book, and because it's full of images, you can quite easily just flick to the right section. Here we are at the hands. Okay, I think this is another key part of animation, faces. How different facial expressions might turn into each other. How when you move one part of the face, you actually move the whole thing rather than just that section. Some quite interesting little images here. I mean, as you probably noticed, that this book is mostly drawn out in pencil, and obviously it's great for traditional forms of animation, but I've applied this many times to computer generated, and I think this book really kind of bridges the gap between classic animation and, say, newer types of animation. Personally, my preference is towards hand-drawn, but that's just my opinion. This is another great bit. This bit seems to be about showing how heavy objects are. For example, we've got a guy here who's lifting a heavy boulder, and how you might kind of show that the object is heavy. We have a guy swinging a hammer, dancing. So it's all about the transfer of energy, showing how heavy objects are. Okay, I've skipped forward again, just to come to this little bit, which about stretching, showing expressions. So here we have a fox character who's obviously stretching his whole body. Here we have a guy who's going from a sleeping position to a normal kind of face to a shocked face. Shouting. Now this is a really interesting little bit. Swinging here from Richard Pease, using it looks like a whip there. Laughing. Okay, so just had a little look through the book there. Obviously, I couldn't cover everything in the book because it is so big, but hopefully I've been able to give you a feel of some of the things that are in there. As I said, if you're getting started with animation or interested in going into the animation industry, I highly recommend this book. It's doing a brilliant job of laying everything out, and yet again, it's one of these books I can't really fault. So if you come across this, going into the animation industry, definitely pick it up. It's definitely well worth the money. So that's the Animator's Survival Kit by Richard Williams, and I hope to see you next time, whatever you're doing. As always, have a wonderful day, and goodbye.